Welcome to Ravinheart Rendition Shop Time, and we're talking with Scott Meek. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I got to know Scott through a few online things, I guess Twitter and quite a few other things we both seem to be part of. And Scott makes wooden hand planes, and I have one of them, and I hope to get more someday. How did you get started doing wooden hand planes anyway?
Well, I had gotten a Lee Nielsen number 4 for I got a gift card for Christmas and I bought a Lee Nielsen number 4 I think 4 years ago now, and it was really my first experience with a quality hand tool. I had a couple planes that my grandpa had given me, and they were kind of old and rusty, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And using that number 4, I was hooked, and so really wanted to get more planes, but it just wasn't in the budget. And so I ended up getting a book by the man named David Fink called "Making and Mastering Wood Planes," like Make Master Wood Planes, something like that. And David Fink was a student of James Krenoff, who kind of popularized the style laminated plane that I make. And so I could afford the book, I could afford a blade, and I could afford a chunk of maple, tiger maple. So said, I'll just make a plane, and made my first plane, and put a picture of it up on a forum online. And one of the guys on there who's a big collector of hand tools, and he owns just crazy amounts of insanely priced tools. Like Marcel out of New Zealand, and Sawyer and Steiner's. I think he's got like 15 Sawyer and Steiner planes, something like that. Something crazy.
Wow. So
he's a big time collector, and he sends me a message on this forum and says, "Hey, I want to buy one." And I was like, "What? Really?" And so I was kind of like this. You mean I can make these and sell them? That's fantastic.
Even better.
And so I think I sold a total of 3 planes in the first 2.5 years I was selling them. But yeah, it was, I just kept making them, and just kind of developed I guess you'd call my signature shape. Just of use, and yeah, I like making them, and I'm glad that people like to buy them because I like to keep making them. So
and they are pretty to look at, and just as lack of a better word, pretty to use. I mean, I have your block plane, and that thing is the one that I grab more than any. I have a couple other block planes, and they sit under the bench neglected now. So
I have to say, and I guess I'm tooting my own horn, but I love my block plane. I just, same deal. It's the only. I do have a rabbiting block plane, and obviously I'll use that when I have rabbiting type things to do.
Sure.
Lee Nielsen, but other than if I got any other block plane usage, putting a chamfer or cleaning up edges, I always will grab the one that I make. Actually, I have 3 of my own.
So well, yeah, you can make them, right?
Do I want the one in Applewood or the one in? It goes with whatever I'm wearing that day.
Yeah, what goes with this project? So, how many different sizes or different kinds of planes do you make currently?
I've got the block plane, which is about 6.5 inches long, and then I've got the smoother, which is 9 to 9.5 inches. Then I've got a 16-inch jack plane, and a 28-inch triplane, and a 36-inch joiner plane.
Yeah, I seen a picture of your joiner plane, and I think it was the great big saw with Roy Underhill had there.
Yes, yeah, it's the Woodworking in America. That was.
I wish I would have made it down to see that one next year. So, that's awesome. And now you make them in several different woods too.
Yes, I do. Do I have to name all those?
You don't have to name all of them. I know mine is
uh,
Osage Orange, and you said you make the Tiger Maple. Do you still do Tiger Maple?
yeah, I still do Tiger Maple. I for the most part with the maples, I suggest that people get a because I offer options for the soles and
Sure.
Crossbends and all that stuff, which I think is different from when you bought yours. I think they've added that since then.
Yeah.
But and then for the maple block planes, I offer a resin infusing option now. So
Oh yeah, I heard you were starting to do that. That's
yeah, I need to. I think I need to remind people that I do that because I don't think I don't know. I got to do something to kind of get the word out about that a little bit more. I think, but
no, that adds to the life of the plane and the life of the soul. Really, I mean, it makes it so. I mean,
it makes it very very durable.
Yeah.
And very very stable, and yeah, it will drastically increase the life of these planes. So.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and I've had mine for about I think around a year now, roughly.
Yeah.
And I don't have any problem with it at all. But I mean, if I used it more, like if it was especially like some of the bigger planes, if you were really using it to hog some material out, I could see where okay, yeah, you might want some of that a little different than just the regular wooden, and you wouldn't have to worry about flattening it. How often do you have to worry about flattening something like that? I guess it's based on use, but
For chewing the sole, it really depends on your humidity levels where you live. If you have drastic swings of humidity in your shop,
mm-hmm.
If it's an unheated shop or unclimate controlled shop, let's put it that way.
Sure.
You'll probably have to do that more often.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, everyone would buy a winter smoother and a summer smoother. One's made in the winter and one's made in the summer, and so that way there's one that's always flat.
Oh, there you go. Well, that would be perfect for you, right?
yeah, great. But no, they do move with the humidity changes.
I guess I'm kind
like
of
the mesquite, because I use mesquite on the smoothers as well. Mesquite's my favorite wood to make a plane out of all time, especially for the smoothers. Those I don't in my shop, and we have pretty good humidity changes here in Asheville.
Mm-hmm.
What happened there?
Well, it dropped off. It dropped off, and it came back. So hey, at least Skype fixed it for once instead of just dropping everything.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's beeping at me. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I had that on my end too. But, well, you were saying that you had some humidity. You have some pretty good humidity changes on your end.
Yeah, not as drastic as like they were up when I lived up in Michigan, but
mm-hmm.
but yeah, it with like I have a mesquite smoother that I use, and that tends to stay really really stable. But yeah, it really depends on location, on whether how much you'll have to chew the sole.
Yeah, and I'm kind of spoiled where I've got the basement air conditioned, heated. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's pretty.
When I was in the garage, that was when oh my god, I got to make sure that I wax everything and make sure it's taken care of like crazy. And then I'm like, well, I got kind of spoiled down here now. I don't have to worry about it as much.
Yeah.
So now you get the blades, and if I remember right, they're I don't want to miss Round Hawk blades, and I mean, anybody who works with planes at all knows that Hawk blades are awesome. I've got a couple of old Stanleys that I put them in too. And now speaking of the old Stanleys, there's some good and bad to everything. So what's the benefit of using a wooden plane over one of my old Stanley planes?
The main benefit, at least, and this comes down to some personal opinion and personal preference on a lot of these. So, I prefer a wooden plane, and even though like that number 4 Lee Nielsen that was my first plane that got me started, for the most part, as much as I love that plane, I'll never sell it. It sits on the shelf because I will always grab my wood bodies first.
Sure.
But they give more tactile feedback in use.
Mm-hmm.
So you really know how well your blade's cutting, and and you can get this way with a metal body too, but with a wood body, you know immediately when your blade's not cutting well.
Sure,
And
that's
time to sharpen.
And that's something you can't really explain to somebody as much as you have to
very
experience
hard to
it. Yeah,
absolutely. That's why I like being at the at shows like Woodworking America where people can use them and I can see this is the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Have them side by side. The other benefit is just, they're warmer to use. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's wood, so automatically it's warmer to the touch. You don't have metal, and you're using wood on wood. So the other thing that does is it burnishes the cut, especially with the smoother. You get a nice burnished cut from planing. Yeah, the surface is just beautiful.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't think about that one before.
Yeah. There's just a more intimate relationship with the hand tool when you're using a wood body plane. Because one of the things which some people would say is a negative about them, and a positive about a metal body, and I won't deny that, is that it takes a little bit more to set up a wood body plane. You have to do everything with hammer, little mallet or hammer, tapping the blade forward, tapping the body, the plane to pull the blade back, and it takes a little bit of a dance to get used to it, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
when people buy a plane, I send an instruction sheet and I tell them to just use it as much as humanly possible, and just keep doing it because you're not going to get it right the first time.
No.
And everybody's plane's going to be different. That's the other thing with wood is each piece of wood's different. So how it works is going to be different. So, I have one smoother that takes very light taps with my plane adjustment mallet to adjust the blade. The other one takes much harder swings, and getting to know your plane, starting off, and this is really key on these planes because I have a wood cross pin. Starting off with very light taps to seat the wedge and adjust the blade because you never want to overseat the wedge and split the cross pin.
Yeah,
and it has happened before, and we can fix it with some super glue, and I haven't had a fixed one fail yet. So, but you do have to be careful with that. So
sure. Now you were talking about the mallet. You tap the blade, you tap the blade down to get it cutting a little more, and then you seat the wedge. You tap the front of the plane to kind of move the blade back, and then you seat the wedge again. But I guess I've heard different things. Some people say to use like a wooden mallet. Some people say use like a leather one. Some say brass is fine. And what would you prefer people use on your planes?
Well, I first made a brass-headed mallet, and it's got a 5/8 inch brass round brass stock. And I just drilled a hole in it and stuck a oak handle in it, and the handle's got a little bit of a curve to it, and it works great. The one nice thing about the brass is that it's not going to mushroom the blade,
sure,
which is good. And because of the mass of the head, it doesn't take much at all to push the blade, and move the blade here and there.
Sure, you can let
really choke up. Yeah.
Yeah, let the weight of the mallet take care of part of what you're doing.
Yeah. So from that perspective, it's great. What I did not like about brass is I spend all this time on the body of the plane to make it look really sweet. And I got to say, there's one area where I kind of really took a different direction from the Krenov mindset on planes. James Krenov famously did not do any, like, it was straight off the bandsaw. You might rasp it a little bit, but very, very rough, and they've got their own kind of beauty because of that. And I even offer one of my planes in that, I have a journeyman smoother in white oak that, that's the name. It's a journeyman smoother, and that's kind of an homage to him, I guess. But mine are much more refined.
Yes.
The looks department.
And we'll put some pictures up for the video portion of this. They are sweet looking planes.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time to get these planes like that, and I did not like the little dimples that the brass head was leaving on the plane. Oh, sure. And you can get around that by adhering some leather to the brass head. but then you kind of defeat the whole purpose of the weight.
Yeah, because
So
you're taking out the shock when you're hitting it. Sure.
yeah, yeah. So what I did is I got a piece of lignin vitae and came up with a mallet head shape that worked for my planes, and the one front of the mallet, or one head of the mallet, I guess face would be the right word, is really small, and that's for dusting the blade. And the other face is much wider, and it's kind of dome shaped right on the face, and that I love it. I've got an ash handle on them, and they work really really well. For obviously the blade is harder than the wood, so you do get some wear and tear on the face. I've had one for 3 years now, and it's
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah, it's
Little things here and there, but
and I've got a couple of them that I made that I have the a brass mallet that I made in high school that I've used to do the blade, but the same thing where I use the other one for the front of the plane. I have a wooden one that I made because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to ding it up either.
Yeah.
So there.
So you hit the front of your block plane then?
To move the blade.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's fine. You can. That's one of the nice things about a wood plane is you can hit it wherever you want to.
Okay.
I hit them on the back, right on that slope.
Okay.
On the back. But yeah, that's kind of one of the neat things about it. You can hit it right on the top and front, or on the face on the front, or on the back, wherever.
I guess I used to when I started woodworking a long time ago. A guy that I was taught me how to do stuff. That's what he did, so that's what I got used to seeing.
Yeah, the traditional the British style wood planes that have a handle just like a metal body plane and a front tote. Those have an actual button on the front in front of the blade where you hit it, and it is a quicker way to loosen up the blade because it does seem to loosen it much quicker than hitting that back slope.
The back slope.
I like the back slope because, especially if you're trying to just pull the blade back a little bit, it seems to do it in less increments.
You can fine tune it a little more. I'll have to try.
Yeah,
I'll have to try that one. I just need to fine tune it. I won't have to go back and forth so much.
Yeah, give it a try.
Cool. Well, we will make sure that we have pictures up on this, and along with links to your site. But along with your site and the planes, you are doing a few things online that some of the other people may not know of as well.
Yeah, I just actually tonight after we get off of here, I'm teaching the second one. I'm offering online plane making classes. I've taught a few in person. I taught a couple up in Michigan before we moved down here, and I've taught a few down here in live classes.
Sure.
But a plane making class at the most is going to take 3 days. Usually, you can get it crammed into 2. And people don't want to really travel for only a 2-day class. You're really only going to travel if you're going to a week-long class.
Sure.
And maybe someday I'll make an intensive. Make a
set.
Make a smoother and a joiner or something. But we'll see it. We'll see what comes down the road. But I got thinking, Shannon Rogers, not Woodworker, Renaissance Woodworker has the hand tool school, and Shannon and I are good friends. And Shannon did a review of my plans. It was really kind of helped set me down the path here.
Yeah.
And I've been, I'm a part of the hand tool school and watch what he's doing, and it's working really well for him to teach these classes online. And I think he even mentioned it to me that I should start teaching some playmaking class online. And finally one day I was like, I gotta just do that. So I threw out a message on Twitter. I was like, hey, would anybody interested? I'm going to do a couple of them on a trial basis for discounted price. And I think I had both those classes full in a couple days.
Oh wow!
So
nice.
So the second of the trial classes is tonight. The first one went spectacular. It was great. And the guys have have planes that are working well, and they're sending me pictures of their planes. It's pretty exciting. At the end of the first class, when they're getting shavings, these fine shavings with the plane that they just made, it's pretty fantastic.
That's awesome.
So I've got the schedule up for winter and spring is up on my website on the classes tab on my website.
Cool.
And classes are 135 for the class. It takes 4 sessions between 2 and 3 hours per session.
Okay.
And then there's homework in between each session. So I've got different choices of times and stuff to take the classes. So I think I've got one in February, one in March, one in April, one in May, two in May, one in June right now. Is what I've got set for now. So, and then I'll, a couple months down the road, I'll set up the summer and fall schedule.
Yeah, and the summer and fall schedule, I'll be taking one of them. I got to get through my class to finish up my degree first. then I'll have more time. So
yeah, it's kind of we do the classes using Google Plus, the Hangout feature on Google Plus, and if people haven't used it, don't let that scare you. It's very easy to use.
Yeah, it's really simple.
Yeah, and you don't even have to use Google Plus ever again if you don't want to. I love it. I would wish everyone would move to Google Plus from Facebook, but that's not going to happen. So I got both. So
yeah, we do too.
But yeah, it works great. I try to limit the class to 4 people, and then that way, you can kind of interact a little bit, and everyone's on video. You don't have to be on video; you have to at least have audio, though. And then we do some stuff in our shops during the class. So you got to take a laptop or one guy tonight's trying an iPad, so we're going to see how that works.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And yeah, it works good. I give you a material list, and there's I think 4 different options of material sizes you can get. Quarter sawn material to make it even that more stable, and yeah, there's a material list and a tools list on the website as well on the classes page. So
cool.
Or I'll link to it.
That's awesome. Well, count me in for one of the spring or fall ones. I'll be on there.
Yeah, there's something special about making your own tools and then being able to actually use it. And it's one of the things that David Fink talks about in his book. And I highly recommend his book. Even though I teach class, I still recommend David's book. It's brilliant, and there's way more information in it than just making a tool, making a plane.
Yeah,
so it's a great resource.
Cool.
But there's still something nice about having a live instructor kind of walking you through the process, and I've learned a thing or two in 3 years of making planes, and hopefully I'll pass that along and help people avoid some of the pitfalls. And
well, the learning a thing or two shows in the product, because it's a very good product.
Hopefully, it's always getting better. One of the things that I'm moving towards with my longer planes, and I may revisit the jack plane with this new shape, but I've got the kind of a horned handhold that's shaped whether for left or right-handed. You have to request which direction, but it really kind of flowed again out of just use, and I've been wanting to make this joiner, and I've had this idea in my head for 2 years, and finally this year, this past year now, 2012, finally started making it, and it's fantastic. My 20-inch triplane now is one of my favorite planes to use, and it's a beast. It feels so awesome just holding that in the hand with the way that horn shape is. I even just used it on my shooting board in place my number 6. I've got a Wood River number 6, and the mass of the wood plane is so much better than the number 6. It just breezed through the end grain on the shooting board. It was fantastic.
Oh, cool.
So I'm really excited about the kind of more shapely, getting a little more artistic in the looks of them, and so they're always evolving in some way.
Yep.
So
that's cool.
The next thing that I really want to do is start doing some more traditional I'm going to start doing some traditional coffin planes and the non-laminated style.
Oh, okay.
Because there's some requests for that. So,
Hmm.
so that's what will hopefully be out by the middle to end of this year.
Well, look forward to seeing them. Cool.
Yep.
Well, cool. Well, I want to say thank you for your time, and I look forward to learning how to make my own plane later this year, and I'll probably be picking up another one somewhere in there too. Well, cool. If you haven't had a chance to go check out Scott's site, there'll be links on here, and make sure you check it out and go and learn how to make a plane from Scott. Thanks again, Scott.
Thanks for having me on, Andrew.